Her words cut sharper than any blade. "You'll never find love," that moment echoed in my mind, a verdict harsher than any judge's sentence. Yet beneath the cold finality lay a spark I refused to extinguish. She thought she'd broken me, stripped away my hope with cruelty, but all she did was kindle a quiet fire, a slow burning resolve that no bitterness could smother. In her arrogance, she underestimated the power of silence and patience. I didn't need to shout or plead. My actions would speak in a language she could never ignore. Beneath the composed mask I wore, pain churned relentlessly. No one saw the weight I carried, the betrayal twisting deep inside me like a hidden wound. It wasn't just the harsh words, but the years of trust shattered without warning. Every smile, every promise we shared now felt like a lie layered in her web of deceit. Yet, anger was a luxury I refused. To lose control meant to lose everything. Instead, I let the hurt simmer quietly, folding it into a stillness that veiled my true intent. This was no simple heartbreak, this was a reckoning waiting to unfold. My mind sharpened with each passing day, honed by the resolve that crept beneath the surface like steel forged in fire. Collapse was not an option. I chose to become the architect of my own fate, weaving a plan both subtle and unrelenting. I studied every detail, her habits, her pride, the fragile cracks in her confidence, and learned to navigate the shadows she thought I'd never enter. Each step was deliberate, a chess move in a game only I understood. I would not let her see the storm gathering behind my calm eyes, for that would be her victory. No reckless actions, no hasty confrontations, only measured patience. I moved quietly, preparing in silence, my every decision layered with care and intent. I gathered strength in the stillness, watching the world turn as if nothing had changed, while plotting my return with cold precision. She carried on, smug and unaware, her arrogance painting a target on her back. The calm before the storm was mine to command, an unseen tempest gathering force in the shadows where she dared not look. My timing would be flawless, my move unexpected. In those darkened corners of my strategy, a promise lingered like a whisper retribution. How could I ensure she'd be the last to hear about the love I still held and the revenge I planned to deliver? The answer was not in loud declarations or fiery confrontations, but in a slow, deliberate unveiling that would unravel her from within. She would watch as the world shifted beneath her feet, powerless to stop the tide. When the reckoning came, it would leave no doubt. I was the author of her downfall, and justice would be served in silence, cold and complete. I never wear my emotions on my sleeve. In every situation, my mind remains a calm ocean, masking the turmoil beneath. Beneath that still surface, there's a sharpness, a clarity that others mistake for indifference. But it's more than that. This quiet resolve is fueled by a burning determination no one suspects. Every move I make is calculated, every word measured, as I weave the intricate threads of a plan far from impulsive. Intelligence is my shield, and my weapon, allowing me to navigate the shadows with precision while my heart holds steady. I've learned that the greatest power lies in restraint, in knowing when to hold back and when to strike. Opposite me stands a figure wrapped in arrogance, a person so sure of their own invincibility they barely notice the cracks forming beneath the surface. This antagonist moves through life with a cruel smile and a dismissive glance, believing themselves untouchable. Manipulation is their art, and confidence their cloak, hiding a ruthless core that revels in control. They wield their power like a weapon, crushing anyone who dares challenge their throne. Their laughter echoes in rooms where others fall silent, a reminder of the distance they have placed between themselves and the rest of the world. But arrogance often blinds, and I have learned to watch carefully where others look away. Once, our worlds collided in a friendship that seemed unbreakable, a bond forged in trust and shared secrets. We were allies, confidants intertwined in each other's lives until the fault lines appeared. The betrayal didn't come as a sudden blow, but as a slow unraveling, a fracture deepening with every lie whispered behind closed doors. What began as loyalty decayed into suspicion, and the connection that once held promise crumbled into bitter fallout. Our history became a tangled web of broken promises, each thread pulling tighter until there was nothing left but cold distance. Yet even as the bridge burned, I kept my focus. Revenge is not born from rage, but from a steady hand and a patient mind. Despite the antagonist's outward show of dominance, subtle fissures began to surface, small hesitations in their confident stride, glimpses of insecurity hidden beneath a practiced mask. Power can be intoxicating, but it also breeds complacency. They started to reveal cracks, moments of doubt, quick tempers over minor slights, or fleeting glances that betrayed unease. These faint vulnerabilities were like whispers in a storm, unnoticed by most but glaringly obvious to someone who knew where to look. I watched, waiting for the perfect moment to exploit the weakness beneath the facade, knowing that no empire built on arrogance remains unshaken forever. Inside me, the storm raged silently. I concealed the pain of betrayal beneath a composed exterior, choosing to strategize rather than succumb to reckless fury. Emotions swirled in the depths: anger, hurt, and a yearning for justice, but I refused to let them dictate my actions. Revenge is a game of patience, and impulsiveness is its enemy. Each thought was a calculated step forward, every heartbeat a steady drum of resolve. I understood that victory would not come from loud confrontations, but from a quiet, relentless pursuit that would break the antagonist's spirit before they even knew they were losing. Then, like a spark igniting dry tinder, I uncovered a secret and unspoken truth about the antagonist's past that changed everything. It was a detail hidden carefully beneath layers of pride and deception, a vulnerability they never imagined anyone would find. This revelation became the first piece in a grand design, the key to unraveling their carefully constructed world. With this knowledge in hand, my plan took shape: slow, deliberate, and inevitable. The game had begun, and the silent storm I carried was now ready to become an unstoppable force. I began by peeling back the layers of his carefully constructed life, each discovery revealing more shadows than light. Secrets long buried beneath, polished smiles and grand thoughts emerged like ghosts in the night, whispering of betrayals I had yet to fully grasp. I sifted through fragments of his past, whispers from old acquaintances, subtle hints and forgotten conversations, until a pattern took shape. This man, so arrogant and untouchable, was built on a foundation riddled with cracks, lies hidden beneath charm, alliances forged and broken with ruthless calculation. Every piece I uncovered was another thread I could pull, a weakness in his armor waiting to be exploited. The deeper I dug, the more I understood that his empire was less stable than he believed. Memories surfaced unbidden, flashing like lightning through the quiet moments I spent alone. Scenes I had once dismissed as misunderstandings now blazed with cruel intent: his cold dismissals, the sharpness in his eyes when he thought I wasn't watching, the times he twisted the truth to serve himself. Each recollection sharpened the blade of my resolve, reminding me how easily trust could be shattered. Those overlooked warnings, once buried under layers of denial, now called out with clarity. The betrayal wasn't sudden. It had been there, all along, hidden beneath a facade of friendship. These haunting reminders fueled my purpose, tempering any flicker of doubt and strengthening the careful plan taking root inside me. Meanwhile, he continued on, blind to the storm brewing just beyond his sight. His arrogance grew unchecked, fueled by the belief that no one could touch him, that he was beyond reproach. He flaunted his power openly, careless in his confidence, taunting those who once feared him. But arrogance breeds blindness, and his failure to see the gathering threat was his greatest mistake. I watched as he tripped over his own pride, his every misstep drawing him closer to a reckoning he refused to acknowledge. His overconfidence was the trap's bait, and I was ready to pull the strings. The plan began with a seed and invitation, delicate yet deceptive. I crafted it with care, designing a wedding announcement that bore a familiar name: his ex. It was a calculated move, a lure crafted to unravel the carefully maintained distance between him and his past mistakes. This fake invitation was more than paper. It was a challenge, a spark intended to ignite the chaos simmering beneath the surface. He would be drawn in, compelled by curiosity and unresolved bitterness, unknowingly stepping into the web I'd woven. Every detail was perfect, designed to provoke just the right reaction, setting the stage for the next phase of my strategy. Holding steady on this tightrope between emotion and calculation tested everything within me. The fire of determination burned bright, but I tempered it with disciplined calm, knowing that impatience would be my undoing. Obstacles emerged, doubts whispered in the quiet moments, unexpected hurdles that threatened to unravel my careful work. Yet with every challenge, my resolve deepened, my focus sharpened. I learned to balance the fierce hunger for justice with the cool precision necessary to deliver it. Each step forward was measured, every move weighed, ensuring that when the time came, my revenge would strike true and unyielding. Finally, the moment arrived. With a steady hand but a heart racing beneath the surface, I sent the invitation out into the world. It was more than a simple message, it was the opening gambit, the first move in a game that would topple his throne. The chaos I promised now had a beginning, and though he did not yet see the storm, it was already gathering force. The trap was set, and the reckoning was inevitable. He chuckled the moment the invitation landed on his desk, a sound thick with disbelief and scorn. "A fake wedding invite? How ridiculous," he scoffed, tossing it aside like a mere annoyance unworthy of his time. His laughter echoed a dangerous ignorance, one that blinded him to the growing tempest lurking just beyond his reach. In mocking the simple piece of paper, he underestimated not just the message, but the hand that sent it. The storm was not in the invitation itself, but in the ripples it would send through the carefully balanced world he believed he controlled. His dismissal was the first misstep, the beginning of a downfall he had not yet foreseen. Emboldened by his contempt, he paraded the invitation among his inner circle, flaunting it like a trophy that proved his invincibility. Yet in his careless display, subtle cracks appeared, furtive glances exchanged, uneasy silences breaking the surface of forced laughter. His confidence, once a fortress, began to reveal hidden fears no one dared name aloud. Each whispered question and sidelong glance chipped away at the image he fought to uphold. What he saw as strength was unraveling beneath the weight of his own arrogance, poisoning the very ground he stood on. And all the while I watched, silent but attentive, noting every slip, every tremor in his facade. Beneath the polished mask of control, the first fractures showed themselves in small, almost imperceptible ways. His jaw tightened more often. Eyes darted with suspicion where before there had been steady command. Jealousy and panic wove their way into his thoughts, though he masked them behind forced smiles and hollow reassurances. The calm I had once envied now seemed fragile, ready to shatter with the slightest pressure. I held back, letting the cracks deepen without interference, knowing that a brittle armor breaks more easily than one hammered in haste. My patience was my weapon, and his unraveling was proof of its power. Then came the fatal call, his desperate attempt to regain control, to silence the threat before it could spread further. Reaching out to the X named on the invitation, he sought to contain the damage with a mixture of threats and pleas. But instead of sealing the cracks, he tore open the walls entirely. The call was overheard, rumors seeded where secrecy once lived. Eyes that had remained neutral began to watch more closely. Whispers grew louder. His efforts to suppress only amplified the chaos, drawing suspicion like moths to a flame. In trying to snuff out the fire, he ignited an inferno beyond his command. The fallout was swift and brutal. Gossip spiraled through his social circles, a poisonous haze clouding judgment and loyalty. Friends and allies wavered, torn between disbelief and the growing unease that something had shifted irrevocably. His once unassailable position became a fragile perch, teetering as doubt took root. The chaos he had tried so hard to avoid now consumed him, spreading like wildfire beyond his reach. Meanwhile, I remained a quiet observer, letting the storm rage while I prepared for the next move. Control was slipping from his grasp, and the moment to strike grew ever closer. Through it all, I stayed calm, my resolve unshaken by the turbulence swirling around us both. The pieces were falling into place, the plan unfolding exactly as I had intended. Watching him flounder, I knew the tipping point was near. I was poised and ready not just to witness his fall, but to guide it. In the quiet before the next storm, I held steady, confident that the coming waves would wash away what he had built, leaving nothing but the truth beneath. The room fell into an uneasy silence as I stepped forward, the carefully crafted invitation held firmly in my hand. Eyes darted between me and the antagonist, their smug confidence flickering for the first time. I spoke calmly, deliberately, revealing the truth the paper concealed, a lie spun to mask secrets better left unspoken. Gasps rippled through the crowd as the weight of the revelation sank in, catching everyone off guard, including him. The facade of untouchability cracked before the very eyes that once admired and feared him. No words were needed. The invitation spoke volumes, and in that moment, the power shifted unmistakably. Among the stunned faces, his former lover stood frozen, her silence louder than any accusation. Without intending to, she became an unwitting ally to the truth I laid bare. Her eyes, filled with a mixture of regret and resignation, confirmed the story I'd carefully uncovered. She said nothing, yet her presence and the flicker of acknowledgement in her gaze deepened the sting of humiliation for him. It was a validation he could neither deny nor control, binding him tighter to the consequences of his past mistakes. The room's whispers grew louder, a chorus of doubt now impossible to silence. His arrogance, once a shield against scrutiny, shattered completely in the harsh light of exposure. Social pride crumbled as peers who had admired his rise now recoiled from the disgrace unveiled so publicly. The mask slipped, revealing vulnerability beneath the bravado. He scrambled to regain footing, voice strained and faltering, but the damage was done. His kingdom of influence trembled on shaky ground, built on lies and arrogance no longer able to hold. The spectacle was as much his downfall as my victory, a testament to the price of underestimating the quiet strength of those scorned. Through it all, I remained composed, a steady presence amid the storm I had unleashed. There was no need for triumphal cries or vindictive words. My victory was evident in the stunned faces around me and the fading echo of his dominance. Calm and measured, I let the moment speak for itself, knowing that true power lies in restraint. Watching the unraveling unfold before me, I felt a quiet satisfaction, the culmination of patience and precision that no loud gesture could surpass. This was justice, delivered without haste, but with undeniable finality. He stood defeated, stripped of his confidence and the authority he once wielded effortlessly. The words caught in his throat, powerless to repair the breach or silence the growing chorus of judgment. His carefully constructed world collapsed around him, leaving only stunned disbelief where control had once reigned. No plea or fury could alter the course now set in motion. In this moment, his downfall was complete, a silent testament to the consequences of pride and deceit. His defeat was not just personal, it was a public reckoning from which he could not escape. As the crowd's murmur softened, I found my voice not with anger or triumph, but with quiet strength. She said I'd never find love, I said softly, letting the words hang in the air like a final verdict. Now everyone knows the truth. The room held its breath, the weight of my statement settling deeply. No further explanation was necessary. The revenge was complete, not in loud declarations, but in the undeniable power of truth revealed. And in that silence, I found my peace, knowing that I had risen above, untouched and victorious. The fortress of arrogance that once protected him began to crumble, not with a loud crash, but through the slow, inexorable erosion of trust and influence. Social TIs he had carefully cultivated unraveled as whispers turned into harsh judgments. Invitations ceased, alliances fractured, and reputations once polished to perfection dulled under the weight of exposure. His professional world, once a landscape of dominance, grew claustrophobic as colleagues and clients distanced themselves, unwilling to risk association. Walls closed in silently, suffocating the power he had wielded with such reckless confidence. Each broken connection was a quiet defeat, marking the irreversible fall from grace. In the midst of this upheaval, I found a new rhythm, not one of bitter triumph, but of quiet strength. The chaos that had consumed his world left space for my own. I stepped forward with calm composure, carrying the steady wisdom that patience and precision had cultivated. No longer driven by vengeance alone, I embraced a path shaped by resilience and careful thought. The future I built was deliberate, founded on lessons learned and the knowledge that true power need not shout to be heard. This was a life redefined, where every choice reflected the strength of a spirit unbroken. Justice arrived not with fury or violence, but as a subtle whisper carried on the winds of karma. The victory was mine, not by overt conquest, but through the steady intelligence that had guided every move. The antagonist's downfall was not a spectacle of rage, but a testament to calculated resolve. Each step had been measured, each plan crafted with a mind attuned to patience rather than impulse. This was justice that spoke softly but resonated deeply, echoing long after the initial strike. It was a triumph born of self-control and insight, an ending befitting the quiet storm that had been brewing all along. Standing tall, I spoke the last word not with anger, but with the strength that comes from knowing your worth. Revenge isn't about rage, I said, my voice steady and clear. It's about being smarter, stronger, and never underestimating yourself. Those words carried more weight than any outburst, embodying the journey from hurt to empowerment. I had risen above, untouched by bitterness, proving that true revenge is a quiet force, unyielding and wise, a power that transforms pain into purpose. And in that final moment, the story closed not with vengeance fulfilled, but with a promise of enduring strength.